So we are doing conservation rules, topic B, and we are going to solve these 4 equations. So in order to solve an equation, you need 4 things to be equal on both sides. You need charge, baron number, lepton number, and strangeness. So to start off, we have a muon with a negative charge, and because it has a negative charge, we know that this is -1, and it goes into an electron which has a negative charge, plus a gamma ray which doesn't have a charge. So that works out. Then in our baron number, we know that a muon is not a baron, and we know that both an electron and a gamma are not a baron. So 0 to 0. Our lepton numbers, a muon is a lepton, and it goes into an electron, which is a lepton, plus 0, and none of these have strangeness. So because all of these work out, we know that this equation is good.
So now we're moving to the second equation, and this equation is proton plus neutron goes into proton plus pion with a 0 charge. So just like John said before, we have the 4 things that we look for in each balanced equation, and that is charge, baryon number, lepton number, and strangeness. So first, proton has a positive 1 charge, and neutron has a 0 charge, which then again proton has 1 charge. And because this is a 0 charge, it makes the pion have a 0 charge. We're going to come back to the baryon number because it is a little confusing in this equation. Going to lepton, none of these elements are leptons, so therefore they're all 0, and also none of them have a strangeness in them. So moving back to the baryon numbers, a proton has a 1 baryon, a positive 1, and neutron also has a positive 1, which then goes to a proton having another positive 1. But then the pion does not have a positive 1, which makes this part of the equation unbalanced. So now we're going to look at the data booklet, and as you can see in the data booklet, in the left-hand side, there is the up and down of quarks. So in a proton, quarks have 2 up quarks and 1 down quark. 2 up quarks and a down quark. Then in neutron, they have 1 up quark and 2 down quarks. And in the data booklet, you can see that an up quark has 2/3 electron, while the down quarks have a negative 1/3 charge. So when you add them up for photons, you have 2/3 plus 2/3 plus a negative 1/3, which gives you 1, which is a positive. Then when you do a neutron, it is 2/3 plus a negative 1/3 plus a negative 1/3, which equals 0, and that is where we get our charges. But then a pion, when you look at it, it only has 2 quarks, which is called a meson. So in a pion, it has an up quark and a down quark, which therefore makes it a meson. And therefore, this equation does not work out due to the baryon numbers not equaling each other.
Alright, so moving on to the third problem. Once again, we're going to look at our charge, our baryon number, our lepton number, and strangeness. So starting out with charge, we know that this is a proton, so that has a positive charge. Goes into a pion with a positive charge, plus a pion with a negative charge. So right off the bat, you know this equation does not work because of charge. But just for kicks, let's do the rest of it. So moving on to baryon number, as Julia said earlier, a proton has an up, down, whereas the 2 pions are both mesons with up-down quarks. So we know that the baryon number, this one has 1, which goes into 0 plus 0. So again, the baryon number doesn't work. None of these are leptons, so we have 0 goes into 0 plus 0. So that one works, and strangeness, none of these have any strangeness. So this equation ultimately does not work.
Okay, so we're moving on to number 4, and remember this is a neutrino, and it has a charge of 0. So the proton has a charge of 1, and a neutron has a charge of 0. And since this is a plus, there's a charge of 1, and a neutrino has a charge of 0. So this works out. For the baryon, the proton has a charge of 1, neutron has a charge of 1, and this has a charge of 0, and the neutrino has a charge of 0. And none of them have a lepton number, and none of them have strangeness. Now you guys can solve these next 2 problems. Take a couple of seconds to figure them out, so you can pause the video, and we will show you the answers in a couple of seconds. Okay, so these are the answers to the problems. So remember guys, this is an antineutrino of the electron, and it has a charge of 0. So everything works out in this equation. And for question B, this is a pion of a 0 charge, and because it's a 0 charge, that's why this equation doesn't work out. And remember, this is an antineutrino of the muon, and this doesn't work out, but the rest of them do. So these are the answers.